They don't like me, I'ma live my life anyway. I ain't fucking with her if she ain't watching anime. You know the finest women in the world, you know they cosplay. Pocket full of money, yeah, yeah. Man, I came to play, yeah, yeah. Drop top, yeah, yeah. Drop top, yeah, yeah. All summer, yeah, yeah. I won't stop, yeah, yeah. Beat going crazy, it's a whole box.
Okay, so moving forward in the Dr. Fate story, we go on to the next two people to take on the name of Dr. Fate, and that's Eric and Linda Strauss. So Eric was 10 years old when Kent, who was aging and dying, had approached him about being the new host for Dr. Fate. He basically convinced this 10-year-old child to come back with him to the Tower of Fate in Massachusetts, and was like, oh, hey, I'm going to turn you into an adult. So he aged him up into an adult and gave him the amulet, cloak, and helmet. During his very brutal training by Naboo, Naboo possessed Kent Nelson's dead body in order to, advise this once was 10-year-old child. So obviously this is terrifying. So almost immediately after becoming Dr. Fate, he goes up against one of the more powerful Lords of Chaos, Typhon, and he loses. And he realizes that he lost because he needs a female counterpart in order to use Dr. Fate and Naboo's magic and powers in its entirety. And that's when he decides to bond with his stepmother, Linda Strauss. While he was occupying the body of Kent Nelson, Naboo had Linda and Eric under constant magical and mystical training. And after they prevented the destruction of the universe, Eric fell very, very ill and could not perform any of the Dr. Fate anything in any capacity, leaving Linda to do it all by herself. While she was Dr. Fate all by herself, Eric only got sicker and sicker. It just kept getting worse. And they found out that it was an unintended and unexpected consequence of him being aged up from a 10-year-old by Naboo. He was then kidnapped and taken to Apocalypse, and during a fight with Desaad, he was killed. And despite her attempts to save him, Linda was not able to do so, and he ended up dying. Linda was also killed later on by the Lords of Chaos. However, neither Linda nor Eric were able to pass on. In fact, they were reincarnated. They were reincarnated into two recently deceased people, Wendy and Eugene Debelia. And then Naboo reincarnated himself into their unborn child. Okay, so this was a time before Kent and Inza actually got killed. So their bodies were inside a fantasy world, and they were basically reincarnated into younger bodies. However, only Inza was able to become Dr. Fate. And she actually becomes more proactive and reckless in the use of her powers, and this leads to a separation between her and Kent. It was revealed that Tegian, a Lord of Chaos, had possessed the helmet, and Inza's powers had come from chaos instead of order, which was the reason why her and Kent weren't able to merge into Dr. Fate. She then learned that her powers actually came from the people of Earth as opposed to order and chaos. And then the Nelsons were able to merge back into Dr. Fate once they got everything worked out and were mystically bonded again. But they could become separate Dr. Fates if needed. This then leads into the part where Extant de-ages them and the JSA, and as they are rapidly de-aging, they hire Jared Stevens to go find the amulet, helmet, and cloak as it has gone back to Egypt. Once he finds it and they come to try to retrieve it from him, they are killed by demons. Jared Stevens is there while they are being killed by demons, and he basically tries to fight the demons off by using the amulet, and it explodes and imprints the Ankh symbol onto his right eye. He also ends up getting magical abilities. He uses the cloak to act as a wrap on his arm, and he transforms the helmet into various weapons. After he defeats the demons, he's contacted by Naboo, who wants to make him the new Dr. Fate, but he basically tells him to go to hell, and takes on the name Fate and is a demon hunter. During his run as Fate, he fights alongside Scare Tactics and Etrigan the Demon to help stop threats on Gemworld. Later on, he is actually murdered by Mordru, who's trying to kill agents of order and chaos and take the Fate artifacts for himself. The artifacts revert back to their original form and go back to the Temple of Fate. And during Dark Knight's death metal storyline, Jared Stevens is one of the people who is revived by Batman with the Black Lantern ring.